Wake up, goddammit. Welcome to MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
Oh, I was out sick, so light week for me. But I did notice a few things that hit off pretty large. Lulu on Friday, AMD the day before, and then pretty much was just managing crypto positions I already had, trying to strike while the iron's hot, but keep some for what I think's on the way. Uh, Easier to do that in the small caps farm and a couple of those, but yeah, just pretty much had a pretty simple plan. Knew I wasn't going to be fully engaged all week, so just sort of stuck to that.
Kind of steal it from your our pre-meeting coffee, but to stay in, like I said it the last few weeks, so I don't feel like too much of a thief. But staying on just stay on what you're on.
Yeah,
Really paid off for me. Elephant in the room, we all know. I woke up to a pretty big win on Hawaii, so
yeah.
I kind of wanted to. I had to take a little bit of a break, to be honest with you. Didn't do much. Did more selling. I was a seller last week. CLSK, I finally got all out of. Hood, I got all out of. Play, I took the money. BTIF, I was in and out of. Only thing I really bought last week was Sphere that I'm holding on to. But yeah, good week overall. I guess I've just been sitting on all that for a while, and they finally grew. So casting the net and waiting has really just paid off. Probably the last month and a half for me. Um,
With with Hawaii, what I thought was going to happen, and this is why I bought the strike I did. I had 6C 2025. It's a lot. I didn't really feel like timing it. I didn't have a share position, but that that's what I had, and so that's kind of what I thought that we're going to get into the 6 to 8 range. But it just sort of shows that because this isn't the first time this has happened with us. But if you just get a position in a good spot with a company that is down but isn't really going to go away, good things can happen. So that was pretty incredible to
yeah,
see that news drop.
it's for me just kind of, I guess I don't really review much, but fine to hear a little bit. For me, the news came out like we're buying it Monday morning. When I woke up, we were right around 14. That 12.95 line I didn't put on there over the weekend. That's been on there for quite some time. Um, but then as I'm reading the news Monday morning, it starts going through. This is just like an offer. We still got to do the vote. We got to get approval. Stuff monopoly stuff starts coming into play, and I'm like, well, I just might as well just take this money. Why hang out? We've seen what happened with Twitter. It'll offer another entry. It may only be 10. But that's the stuff you got to do when you got to kind of rework your thesis, because when I talked Sunday afternoon when the news came in, and even to a couple close friends of mine that are also in the position, it was like, we're just going to sell this to 18 for Alaska. That's what we're doing. We're waiting until 18 in Alaska, and that changed literally 40 minutes into the day on Monday because of the whole process that you start reading about how it's actually going to play out. Um, so yeah,
And
12.95
say
held.
this. Yeah. And you've got the save JetBlue thing
Yeah.
that's still going on. So yeah, those mergers can go on and on. Definitely.
No, and if you were like late to Hawaii, and I try to say that instead of pouting, that's what I would have went and done, is tried to find the sympathy for it. I mean, that's the first thing you do, is go look for what else this might help. Um, I post I didn't buy it, and I should have, but it was a great day to buy Alaska Monday. Great day, because they basically got a big pullback for spending money that they hadn't spent yet. Um,
And, well, Southwest Airlines, they had a huge week.
so did
I mean,
JetBlue.
the airlines, yeah, JetBlue too. Yeah, so there was definitely that, and we talk about sympathies all the time, and which ones work and why, and all that. Big part of our sector focus.
Yeah, and it's not like, I mean, if you were lucky, you were on airlines a month ago. Sorry.
Yeah, Right.
I mean, that was one of the top. What did I say? Casinos, airlines, and burgers. I think it was that what it was. But that was
Yeah, well,
that
we
was
did
October.
we did a list. We did that top 10, and we're not just like screwing around with the timing on that. I mean, it's like these are gonna be ready. I don't have anything imminent, but here's where they sit right now. You want a piece, you grab a couple of these. Those weren't weekly contracts if you're doing options. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you were.
to the little uncorn. I mean, ain't no one said 460. Go find them. I'll PayPal them some cash. You just show me the timestamp.
Yeah.
I'll PayPal them the cash. And no one was talking September to January either. And I'll say the same thing that kind of caught me off guard last time, like because I was about buying the dip, about around the first of the year, that 5-year Tesla position, right? Um, the
Yeah.
these moves are faster than I'm anticipating. Like we done had our dip and we're headed back north again, right? Like I thought we would have maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months of a dip, and we had like a week and maybe 2 weeks of bottom. Like it didn't really hang out down there much this time at all. And I'm talking, I mean, you just named the chart, and most of those bottoms were higher lows. So now we're looking for higher highs. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean I I said maybe it was like a week and a half ago. I was like, yeah, coin around 120. It's trying to build something there in options. It tapped 120 for about 5 minutes, and it's now 146. A week later, it hasn't really dipped again. I mean, it made a brief dip back down to 130 or whatever, but that's kind of how it's going to be for a lot of these, and it's not just a crypto thing. Roku's kind of the same way, but a bunch of these charts that they had this really aggressive gap down to get to where we'd been trading them for 18 months or whatever. But they get back into that gap on the way up, they can move through it just as quickly as they went down. So I'm seeing that's a big theme, and continuing to look at that. Really looking forward to the next session because I have a lot to talk about there. But
Did you catch read the
yeah,
room? Did you catch read the room this week?
yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay, yeah, there was one. I'm not mentioning
Yep.
it here because I think we're real early. I don't want to give it away, but there's a sector I totally was like, this is where it's at for what you just explained perfectly. Um, yeah, I can't wait
Yeah.
to get into those. I cannot wait to get into those because you've already
Yeah.
it's kind of already been proven to a point, in my opinion, and there's a lot of them left. So
I think so psychologically, I think what you have to do is, I mean, for me personally, like the getting out of this mode where it's like I want to call the top on this. I want to call the top on Spy. I want to call the top on QQQ or whichever shitco or whatever. Like that approach is not working. It hasn't worked for people really all year, and it's like it's getting the higher we go now, it's getting worse in terms of their call outs or or whatever. Um, you find something strong that has a bad day, pull it down to a level that you can reasonably trust, and you go long. I mean, you're going to do much better doing that, and that's this room has more longs than shorts, and even did during some of the bad times. It's hard to short stocks. It really is, and I just think the mentality of this stuff's run hot, so it needs to come down. Um, yeah, it's going to pull back, but it's really hard to get the right spot on a lot of that, and it'll just rip right back up on you. Um, so puts are difficult, and I really wouldn't usually recommend them.
I mean, depending on how many quarters you get, how many chances you get, I call top and bottom on Spy, and I don't even trade the damn thing. I mean, I called a couple things. Don't get me wrong, but if you get like in unlimited chances, like your
Yeah,
Mr. Investment guy over there, um, totally, I could go timestamp this 411, and I totally could find a timestamp for 460. So, like, yeah, like it's trying to call a top and a bottom is wasting your time. Trying to find useful information along the way to trade is way more important. And if I was a spy trader, I'm not a spy trader. My Twitter rant on Tuesday should explain why I'm not in full detail. But yeah, I'd be playing this line again to what you just said. If I just play this 455, I mean, it's my 20-day volume profile. It's pretty easy last week or so. playing off of that level.
And
But
if and 460 was a good short entry on Friday. In terms of like your intraday and you're gonna do a quick trade, it went 450, 460 to 458.50 or or whatever. But I'm talking like these guys saying the crash. I'm gonna time the crash. I'm gonna buy puts for January at 430. I'm gonna buy them right now. Well, even if you did that Friday 460, that great put entry, well, you're red already because it went right back up. So and it could just keep doing that.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of. I said it like probably a month ago, but this market has taken some punches. Um, it's good at fighting now. So I don't know what catalyst you're gonna have
Yeah.
that's gonna like drag it down. And even if it does, I think it will be quicker than this COVID did, which was like a month, month and a half. Not as dramatic and quicker. So I don't want to throw out negative things, but we've fought through a lot of that negative stuff. A lot of the stuff in the windshield now is positive. Um, we're gonna have an election year. Change is always good. Gas prices going the right way. Inflation numbers look great. I can't wait for the CPI PPI this week. If that continues, I don't think you can stop this train. That's a totally another conversation. Um, but yeah, we're kind of looking like we're on the horizon now. And everyday people in their life are feeling it, I think, as well. Like my gas is finally back. I got a 3 at the front finally, and the shopping cart's a little bit cheaper. So
No, I agree, and I think if you're trying to time a black swan, you got to look up the definition of a black swan because you can't really. The whole idea there, it's not on the calendar. It's not. It's not. You know, uh, an FOMC meeting is not going to be a black swan. It's not. Any kind of inflation number or something. And so I think if you do want to if you want to go short, to me, what you do is obviously you want to buy puts at resistance. That's one thing. But it's actually if a company's having an event that's a positive event, selling the news on a positive event actually does work pretty well. Tesla with the Cybertruck is a good example. You had 3 or 4 sustained days of a pullback on that, and that's kind of where you have to look because it's difficult to find true weakness right now. You read the earnings reports and you watch the reactions to it. The the stocks that pull back initially on earnings, they're headed right back up. Market's very forgiving. Lululemon's a good example. Pretty much all the SaaS names are they come right back. So hard to short them through those events. The downside doesn't really last even to market open. So yeah, it's just a rough time for bears. And I think the problem is if someone's been bearish, now they feel like it's too late to be bullish. So that's kind of the wrong mentality too. There's always sectors that are lagging, names that are lagging, stuff like that. So it's not all or nothing in terms of bullish, bearish either.
now I'll definitely let people know when it changes. But I watched a lot of level two. I mean, that's just where I feel safest at in intraday, finding things and seeing the
Yeah.
actual movement. There's not sellers. There's just not a lot of sellers, and even around the events to kind of bounce off what you said, the ones that are selling are probably up pretty good in profit, more of a short-term trade, or just the run-up traders like we are. But that gets bought up so quick, and that volatility is what you want to trade. The only negative right now in that is normally a good report you'll get even if you get a dip, you just get good volume for a week or two. Um, and we're only getting good volume for like a day or two, and then it's back to normal volume. So you get like this low volume melt up, but there's no sellers. So when we either get back to where we dropped from, or we do get to a level, and this goes for something that runs without we just get to a level, you start getting this low volume melt up into just sideways continuation. Um, and it's just our sideways consolidation. Sorry, and we just consolidate because there's not
Yeah.
enough volume to really break through a level. Um, And I like those plays. I don't really want to drop the name, but I will. PCT right now, like I don't care where you buy it at, it's going to take you to five,
Yeah.
but it ain't going past five. And that's just you kind of learn
Right.
that
Right.
that psychology about stocks, and take your money off of them. But if you just got to understand like everything right now, I mean, it's hard to trade. That's why I think spy traders are going to get just throttled for a while and have gotten throttled, is because the volume is so low everywhere else, it can't really be that high there. Um, yeah, that's what I got there.
I do have a couple of uh, things in futures I want to talk about really quickly.
Go for it.
And first of all, so oil again. I I think there's still plenty of time for entries on oil. I think we're getting pretty close. This has not broken below the kind of danger zone to me, which is 68. It's at 71 right now. Had kind of had a good Friday. Looking for it to build there. I I think you like to me the interestingly the most appealing names are the biggest ones, the Oxy, Exxon, etc., and then the smallest ones. We don't get into a lot of individual tickers here, but there are there's some opportunities in oil, but some of the mid caps to me are still a little shaky, the Devons and all them. So I think we're early there. I'd expect oil though to start to build something here. Should have a pretty good week, and then uh, China. So you've got Hang Seng just really getting pummeled constantly, but a lot of the individual names are holding up
Yeah.
pretty well. And this is going to be kind of like a beach ball underwater. You're going to get some really explosive moves in Chinese stocks, I think, January through March. So if you have some names you like there, might want to start thinking about grabbing something. And then uranium. Uranium's still very, very, very strong. And there's actually some pretty good entries and names there. So I would continue to look at that. Uranium 82.75 right now. Easily could get into the 90s here within a few weeks. So I would stay on that too.
Okay. Oh, not to backtrack, but I wanted to make this point, and I should have just said it with the last stuff, but it kind of fits with that as well. The election year stuff, and I pointed to it a little bit ago, but I want to double down on it. Like, um, the fucker's losing, and I don't see red versus blue. I really see like globalist establishment versus populist. I mean, that's kind of what we got going on right now. But that doesn't really matter. The fuckers that are in charge right now are gonna make it nice for us, so we vote for them. Simple as that. So we're gonna get cheaper prices throughout the year. Maybe they will force a couple of the rate cuts early. Um, that I just think is our catalyst looking forward. I wanted to get that out there. I wanted to have that recorded. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's kind of holding down oil. And then when you say China too, a peace deal with China, like any kind of like handshake with China, Biden, yada yada, meet in Hawaii or some shit. I don't know. Anything like that though, this next
Yeah.
12 months is gonna move the market, especially those well. So I mean, we're kind of set up for that. Like they have to be nice because they want your vote, and not to get political or
Absolutely.
anything, but
And on the individual names, you get the $4 Chinese stocks going to be $7.
yeah.
That's what they do. So we'll be on that, and we'll have some setups there for that.
One point I would mention, hopefully this sparks a little conversation. We're doing good here on time. We got 10 still. Because we talked about it, then we proved it, and we always say that happens, and then 6 or 7 of them happen, and then people finally start asking. So I'm trying to stay ahead of that. But $2 stocks, man, they move like options. If they're $2 or less, you probably go up to 5 even. To be honest with you, 10% versus 25% on the stop loss, just in general, right? You can get away with a shorter stop loss than you can with an option play. You got to have more room on an option play. No time frame. you can hold it for 3 months. It might not change prices. Show me an option you can do that with. If you did, the professor found it for sure. The professor found that one for sure. And you can scale in and out a little bit easier, right? Like you can't really buy the same option contract this week and then buy the same one next week. You got to go to a different option. So your familiarity with what's going on is just like it's you're doing a project for a week and then you find another project and you're doing that project for a week. And it's just hard to kind of see the similarities in the project you're working on. So more of a long-term project for you and getting filled. Actually get your fill. You'll get your full position. It won't just slam you in or out of it if you use OCOs. So, yeah, wonder how you feel about them $2 stocks that move like options.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of that, and I actually, I use the options to read those, but I do prefer. I prefer the shares, and I'm kind of getting that way, even up to the $16 to $18
Those are my favorite.
stocks. The ones that that go 16 to 18, or sometimes go 16 to 20 plus, the lemonades and all them, and because the thing about the shares is it takes so much of less mental capital to keep up with them, because I do like to trade options. I like to trade options where the option is the trade, like that. It's an options trade. The stock's kind of built that way. It's AVGO, or it's UNH, or whatever. There's a lot to keep track of when you're in those kind of trades, and for me, with all the work that we put in, I want to get a piece of the work that we're doing myself, and shares are kind of the way to go, for a lot of those. And if um if 10, 15%, 18% isn't enough for you in a trade, then something going on with the sizing's not right. I mean, so you need to get to a point in your account size where that is enough, because if you're going to consistently make it, it's the 8, 14% trades that's what you're built on. You're not going to build yourself on 1,000% trades. That's just, I mean, those are fun. You can't size up with those, because by getting a win that big, that says something about the risk of that position that you're in, and what's your comfort zone. You put $10,000 in something that half of it can be gone in 2 seconds. I don't think I'll ever be in that position. I wouldn't want to be. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to start looking share side, and there's a reason we put so much work into the hot list, and there's a reason the hot list is dominated by stocks at a certain price point, because they're the safest and most consistently profitable setups.
Yeah, except for that one that's $1,000 this week. Sorry about that. But
yeah, no. Hey, I love it when a mine shows up and you're in. That's,
so we always talk about, like, we're baseball guys. Just in general, that's our go-to analogy. But we always talk about batting average, right? And I'm a 70-80% guy, and I kind of stress that. But I think people don't get the other side of that, and you just kind of covered it. Like, those are 8 to 15% trades, like most of them, right? Occasionally you get the home run, like, so it's like an 80% with a 10% or single average, right? It's not like a lot. What I think a lot of people on Twitter are doing, they're 3 out of 10, but their 3 is like 5 to 7 to 1,000%. So it kind of gets them maybe back to even or just shortly low, depending on how much money they need to withdraw. But you got to go the other way. I mean, that's where the close all trades green and tell me when you've lost comes in. But when I started thinking about that, what really pointed out to me, and I don't like to admit it to myself because I kind of like keep it away, if there's also of like, how much should I have taken from those trades, right? That's also probably 20 or 30% of the total moves on average, to be honest with you. I'm
Yeah.
not getting like 50, half the move most of the time, or 70 or 80 or 100% of the move. I'm usually out way before that happens. Um, in most things. And now the stocks that I like
Yeah.
long term, that changes a little bit. But anything that's like I consider a day trade, like I maybe 20, I think 30% is nice, but 20, 30% of the range of the trade is actually what you get. And I think no one talks about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's where, like, when we say stay on these winners, I mean, really, yes, I could have just bought coin once, or MSTR. Could
Oh,
have just bought it
let's check
once.
them out.
Never needed to go back. But I didn't keep it that long because I don't know. Look at the chart.
Now,
Look at the last time coin went to 100.
did you
If you
buy
would have kept
coin?
through all that,
Did you buy coin at the 70, the 72, 76 area? Like shares?
did yeah,
Shares?
yes,
Do you
shares.
still have them?
And no.
So
So
where'd you get out at? Yeah, let's do this real
so
quick.
I sold. It was right before the last high, so that it was, yeah, like 108
Oh, geez. So I
is
was
when
out at nine. I was out
got
at
out.
like 92. The last of them.
Yeah. And then it's been options only, but it's been very good. I had like a swing on coin options that went like 500%. I only had like four of them, but still, I mean, that's kind of been where I've been with that. And yeah, so I think that, staying on those winners, I mean, honestly, I worked through my whole psychology here with you on Roku,
Yeah,
where it
same
was
thing. Yep,
like, man,
yep.
I just want, I just like would love to keep some of this, but it's just kind of hard. It's but honestly, like, that whole process, me sort of working through that, kind of prevented me from just being like, just clear out what you had and let's see what it does up here and see if it builds some strength.
Go back
It
to it.
did, and we go back, yeah, and we go back, and you can always go back. And I think that it's like, what got you into the trade, right? Is was were you getting into this trade planning to hold this stock for a really long time? If you bought Snow in the 130s or something like that, um, if you bought Pan W at some of the dips that we had, those stocks that you can keep for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, like Nvidia for you, a couple others. If that was your mentality going into it, keeping it makes sense. If it was a trade and it's just a trade that went way better than you anticipated, I think you still look for the exit and understand that you can buy back in.
Free
That
shares. Yeah, free shares at most there. 100%. I'm with you
Yeah,
on that.
exactly.
You don't
Yeah,
turn a day trade into a long term,
yeah,
or have to put it in a spot where you over manage it. And Roku definitely was on the top of my mind there, so I'm glad you brought that up. Um, what I want to say to you now,
yeah,
this one's for you, definitely, is like with coin. Um, I could be like, oh dang, Professor got an extra what, $16 out of it than I did. I took my coin money to CLSK, and that's just how it's. You got to have that forward looking. Like, what did I miss managing this trade? And for me, I know what I would have missed if I would have stayed on coin. I wouldn't have went and focused on CLSK. Um, so that's just a. I don't know. That's
so
just
that
how
was
I've
one. And
always
then
have done that.
I did that with MSTR and Bitfarm.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's like MSTR. It's like, I mean, even if I talk about how, like, yeah, I read expensive stuff, but I mean, holy shit, MSTR options are getting pricey
Mm-hmm.
to where your weekly in the money is like $1,500. So it's
Jeez.
like, yeah, this is getting a little trickier up here. And it was just because my thesis on it was right, and here we are at $600. But yeah, I think for me, taking that profit going into Bitfarm I think I was like 128, um, worked beautifully. And so yeah, I'm with you on that idea as
And
well.
even just adjusting sizing probably needs to be done after the initial trade pans out. And you're not doing that if you're staying in, right? Like
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
resizing, especially on the option side. Um, that whole conversation right there really fit that orange analogy I had a few sessions ago, where you squeeze it and you squeeze it and it keeps giving you juice, but there is other oranges out there that probably are ready to give juice. So that's the hard part of
Exactly.
trading, not finding these setups. I mean, these just take work. You just got to get a little elbow grease. It's managing the setups. It's managing which ones to put your money into, which ones to pay attention to, which ones to get in and out of, how long to stay. And I think that's even amplified on your side. So
So I want to before we get to SPY, I want to break down something because this was actually it was almost more of like a TA read than I mean the flow was good, but when I said on Thursday morning,
mm-hmm.
I was like,
Oh
I think
yeah,
AMD is going to do something
yeah, you
today,
like that, don't you?
and I want to walk through the reason. Want to walk through the reason I said that. So I'm up for pre market regardless. My sleep schedule's all jacked up right now anyway. But so when I got up and it's like 4 in the morning here, and I saw AMD had this pre market spike. It's like it was like 118 to 121, and then it pulled back, and then it starts working its way up again. Because I saw 124, 125C weeklies were solid, and because it had that spike, pullback, move back up pre-market, I was like, I think this is just going to take off. And so for the way I say things when I say I think this is going to do something, it's kind of like, holy shit, the stock's going to pop off huge. I mean, that's what I would say if I were one of those mop head kids. But I was pretty bullish on it. So like, I want to, from your end, is what I was seeing there. Is that something that you look for? That I mean, what do you think was happening pre-market there for a stock like that to have that kind of range, being indicative of something happening once we open?
It might be the one thing that if I was gonna be like critical, or not really critical, but like giving you your next year homework, right? It's that morning news,
Yeah.
because that's what that was. Then the same with the Broadcom, the same thing that's going to go on there is there was just a lot of good semi news
Mm-hmm.
this morning, and they had, I forget who it was with, but it was AI related, that they had a semiconductor that was pretty much proprietary to them for something that all three of the big boys needed: Apple, Google, Microsoft. They all needed for AI. Um, that was the news. From a chart standpoint, yeah, we hit this 20-day volume profile, tight consolidation. There's nowhere else to go but up here when I see this P. RTL is a beautiful thing. These blue lines are there for a reason. Um, Secondary moves are safer. I mean, it's just everything I say was there. And so, and that's something I want to start doing more. I mean, you only drop like 3 plays in the morning. I can go check them out from a chart standpoint, and if I agree with one, I'll say what I say. And that just felt like a good time to double stamp something that you were doing. I didn't think we would get
Okay. Yeah.
probably
Cool.
past I didn't think we'd get past back in here 25. So the continuation on Friday was kind of nice to see. But I think from an option trade, you were out on that on the second hour candle. You're probably done with that trade. So
It was the 125C
yeah,
weeklies. That was what I got, and
yeah,
I just got out
like here.
when it moved above that.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
mean that's like 300%. If that's not good enough for you, I don't know what to say.
I don't know. 300 to 300%. I'll say it. 300 of $20 is only $60. So 300% of $20 is only $60. That ain't enough for these guys. That's Twitter's problem. Is the sizing ain't enough for the
Yeah,
percentage.
yeah,
That's Twitter's problem.
yep.
Yeah, let's get to some spy action. And yeah, let's do that more. I'm definitely doing it. When I see, like, again, you drop 3 in the morning. When I see the no brainers, I'm definitely gonna say something. Um,
Yeah. I mean, anyone who was paying attention to AVGO too, that worked. I mean, when you commented on that one, I was like, okay, I definitely have something here now. Because it was, if it lines up on your end for a stock is if you're going to mention a stock that's $900, then we're in good shape.
Well, it's that again, it's that what I just kind of critiqued you on a little bit. It has, well, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get there, but it has the news right now. It has everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
So, SPY. Let's do it and get to work. Look at this consolidation up here.
Yep.
That's maybe like 2.5 weeks. I'm gonna let you talk strikes because I think that's gonna dictate a lot of things.
Yes. So I've been, it was puts that offered the read for, all of October. And then when those puts flipped bullish, which just means means two things. They're selling to close, so they made their money and they're leaving. Or more importantly, they're selling to open to all the retail saps who just think we have to pull back, and they just keep just crushing them. Those puts keep going to zero, and they just walk it, all the way up. So we're still kind of in that mode. And right now, what I'm seeing, I got sold puts at 459, 458. Early in the week, some at 460. 460 is a little more mixed. But as far as like a pullback goes, I don't even think 450 is very likely this week. Maybe 455 is probably about it. The longer range puts are not looking particularly bearish either. You look at like 1215. There's a little bit of like 435 there, but I mean that contract's down to $10, so I don't know that they're gonna be able to do much with that. Now that said, on the call side, I don't have a lot either. I've got like 462 or something, so it's looking a little tight this week to me, is what I would say, and so I'm not sure how explosive the move will be, but yeah, 455 is about my floor.
Um, I gotta run that back. You 454.46. You missed the bottom by 15 cents. And 462.15. You missed the top by $1.85. I was on both sides. I was wider than you. We just didn't get the pop. Is
Yeah.
what it seems like. But yeah, you had tight last week. This changed by a penny, so I'm gonna stay with that on the bottom. This 455, especially since you said it about 7 times. 455
Yeah.
does seem like the floor. Good, probably a good time to buy the callers for your day traders. I mean, I would have that line on your chart for sure, somewhere in that 455 area. The top, I mean, we just keep walking up here. Let me pull the other chart. We keep tight and walking up here. It's kind of what it seems like. These are $6 or $7 candles. So if we put $7 on 55, that's 62. So we'll go 63 because I'm a bull. And I need some change. Let's go. I got 08. I'm going to go 24. Just like that number this week. So 63, 24, 55, 08. I'm with you, and I'm still mindful that we're going to go into the holidays here soon, and those people that are comfy and cozy and have money and don't want to worry about it are going to eventually walk away, and volume's going to get a little worse than it already is for a few days. Whether that's this week or next week, I'm ready for it.
Oh, 462.20. So a little below you there. And I will go 454.73.
A little bit of a dipper. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, so just tight again. Tradable. The thing about that is, for me though, P, there's plenty of other. I mean, that's when the news kind of comes in, or sectors come in, because that's where the trades will be. like crypto.
Yes, yeah.
Last 2 weeks.
I think SPY is going to get really tricky to trade, and you'd better have. It's not a time for random entries. You better have a pretty good idea of the level that you're buying. A dramatic up thesis or down thesis, I don't think it's a good week to enter that.
No, that's where those overbought, oversold, or imbalanced traders actually do well in this kind of market because they at least have a plan.
Yeah.
So you ready to get to work?
Yeah. Grab